Hi folks, we're Tassless today, your pushback channel, and thank you for joining this audio live stream. Please listen to this presentation as you would a radio broadcast. In this essay, I'd like to talk about the issue of sexual foreplay and sexual choking as part of foreplay. There's a few cases around the Western world, or a couple of them involving, or a few of them involving public figures and people in the entertainment industry and well-known sports people and so on, where they have been having a relationship with a woman, and the woman has insisted on that they want choking as part of the sexual foreplay or part of the intimate act, I guess, in total. And so and the male partner has complied with this, but then when the relationship goes sour, she then says, "Well, that choking, that was violence. That you can just see how violent that motherfucker was. He was choking me, had his hands around my neck, choking me, just like Hitler and the Nazi," and so on. So it's ginned up as being an act of male oppression, of violence, male violence against helpless little women, and so on. And this is getting, of course, the prosecutors, who would all be radical feminists in this area, with we've got this guy. So the guy, how do you sort of account for this? So the guy's in the witness box in court, and so Mr. Billy Bob. So you have here in your own deposition, in your own words, Billy Bob, your own words, that you choked Billie Jean 50 times during 50 sexual encounters, choked her, your hands around her neck, violent. Billy Bob, are you trying to deny that you're a fucking evil animal? And so it's not a good look. Now, Billy Bob, but she said that's what she wanted. She told me that so you're saying she wanted to be violently oppressed by you? Is that what you're trying to tell her? The guy's fucked. He's cooked. So what to do about this? This is a bit of an issue. Now, coming to my own experience here, I never was comfortable with this idea of choking. Now, there's been a number of women, some of whom I did have intimate relations with and some not, who have insisted that they cannot orgasm without being choked. Therefore, they're saying, well, I want to fuck you, but unless you're prepared to choke me, I can't orgasm. I'm not prepared to have sex with someone unless I can orgasm. So the choking has to be part of the gig. Now, again, I kind of don't like it. It's never sat well with me, that sort of thing. Not necessarily because they could later on, use that as, the bastard choked me. He's obviously a rapist, oppressor, and that's it. Not because of that, but because I haven't felt comfortable doing that. I'm recalling one woman who, by the way, I had no real intention of fucking her. I quite liked her, but not sexually. Someone had held a gun to my head, so you got to fuck her. They'd probably have had to shoot me in this case. But she gave me sort of the chapter and verse of it. This is how I need you. This is what I want you to do. She thought it was a goer because I was being polite and nice to her and everything. She thought, well, he must want to fuck me. So I tried to, listen to it sort of patiently. And she, well, look, you got to choke me. You got to put your hands like that. And she demonstrated on herself, with her own hands. You got to do this now. In order for her to get maximum orgasm intensity, it had to be moments before she was going to pass out. From oxygen deprivation from the choking, and so I thought, I don't like that. Now, how do you unless you know someone very, very well? I mean, would you even want to attempt something like this? But anyway, so she's, well, my eyes will bulge and my face will go blue and it'll and I'll wave my hand sort of frantically, but that's when you let go. And that's when, and just on that alone, I can orgasm. She didn't even need sort of, penile penetration or anything like that. So she claimed, at least, to get that orgasm. Now, there have been other women who've also, in various sort of ways, wanted choking. One would lie in the bed with that head hanging over the end of the bed with a sort of a choking hold on, and so on. So I've never sort of felt comfortable with it, and have always thought it would feed into some sort of discord later on. There was something I thought inherently sort of wrong with it, but that was only me. I'm sure other people think differently, so I always shied away from it. What I did notice, though, and this comes back to these cases, is that the women who wanted the choking were, certainly as I experienced it, at least, they were all small women, as in, say 5'4" or less, and say medium to slight build. I wouldn't. They all seem to be small women who got off in this idea of being dominated by some big man, and they liked dating guys and being fucked by guys that were substantially bigger than them. 5'1" one. I won't fuck any guy who's under 6'3", says the 5'1" chick, and he has to choke me as well, and this sort of stuff. So I never liked that sort of the way that architecture of the relationship, if you like. One woman was sort of had misread me and thought, okay, well, he doesn't want to date me, and she sort of, well, look, it's okay if you just come over to fuck me, like we don't have to, hold hands and walk in the moonlight or something. Just so I found that. Now there are other women that I've known where the one lady, she was tiny, skinny little thing, and she would only date guys over 6 foot tall who were doing the roids, who were these heavy roided out bodybuilder type dudes, and she could only date them. She used to go to gyms where they would go desperately trying to pick them up, and she says, I just can't orgasm unless the guy's some roided out, muscled up dude. Just can't do it. And he has to do this and has to do that. But it's all to do with, whether you say it's going into the S&M sort of camp or not, that's another thing. But this idea of this choking and sexual foreplay, and then its possible or potential relationship with, say the woman wants to take the guy into course of, well, he raped me, and he, by the way, he choked me all these times. That alone should get people to think with caution. Now, I've mostly dated sort of, not all, but mostly dated sort of taller athletic chicks and that sort of thing. And I can't think of one off the top of my head who'd be into that sort of stuff. So it seems to be small women. So imagine going into court. You're a 6 foot tall guy. You're weighing 230 pounds or something, and your sexual partner is 5'1" and weighs 100 pounds. Now you've got to convince the jury or the court or the judge or whatever, well, no, I wasn't oppressing her, and the, just the sheer physical mass difference. The fact that she actively goes after guys that are double her size and actively, aggressively demands, foot stamping demands, finger wagging demands, you got to choke me, otherwise I can't orgasm. That's something that just won't play in the court. So really, and as far as I can tell, the amount of women who want this sort of choking stuff seems to be, I never came across it as a kid, as a young man. Maybe it was around, but I never came across it. But now it seems to be widespread, and I've mentioned it to some other guys and about this stuff in the news, and they women everywhere want to be choked these days. They do. Now I'm not up to current affairs on that, but this appears to be a time bomb situation. Why do so many women want to get, are they frustrated in their jobs or their career aspirations, or what is it that women are radical, tough, kick-ass, boss feminists, and yet they want to be sort of dominated, and you could say as part of this choking, dominated to the point of sexual dominance and abusive sort of behavior, which they can later say was, oh, he's oppressing me, that damn Nazi. So really, looking at it, I don't know if it's a social phenomenon or not, but any man who gets off on dating small chicks or chicks that are half their size, and they want this sort of either whether it be soft or overt S&M stuff. Really think about it and really consider that carefully. Make sure she sent you a lot of texts, making these demands, because if something does go wrong, you could end up in prison for this. And so it's worth having some sort of proper documentation and support. You've been with Tacitus today, your Pushback channel, and thank you for listening.